Hey, family. I'm Greg, your co host, who's pretending to be your main host. And
I'm Mama, the main host of Mama Unplugged podcast show. Thanks for joining and listening in to this show, whereas we will focus on fun, interesting, and sometimes, dare I say, controversial conversations, combined with the Word of God that helps navigate to drive this present called life.
if you like what you hear, click the follow and enable notifications so you will already have updates to the newest episode. You can write a review and let us know if you are enjoying or perhaps not enjoying the show. Also, you can follow us on Facebook at Mama Unplugged, that's one word, Mama Unplugged, and our website, www.mammaunplugged.com. And again, that's one word, MommaUnplugged.com. There, you can leave a comment, and perhaps your comment will be peppered into our conversations. Now, let's get to the show.
Let's get started. Enjoy.
In this episode, we discuss Black History Month and how we are to not stop learning and discovering our Black history, as we are enveloped not only in modern history, but also in the days of antiquity and biblical times. We want to encourage our people to never allow anyone to make you feel inferior, as we are all God's children, and He reigns supreme over us all. Happy Black History Month. Let's begin. Hey, Ma.
Hey, Greg.
How you doing? You doing well?
How are you?
I'm doing.
How you, Greg?
I'm doing. I was about to say I'm doing well, and I got stuck. It's like, I'm doing.
We'll go with that. We'll
right,
go with that.
We'll go with
what
it.
you
We'll
doing
move
though?
Huh?
What you doing? You
What
said
am I
I'm
doing?
doing. I'm doing what?
I'm doing. You gotta put the
You still
extra zoo.
zooming?
You got the zoo. I'm
Are you
doing. I'm
zooming?
doing.
Work with us, people. Work with us. Work with us.
Work
Work with us.
with
Work with us.
Right,
Work
right,
with
right.
us. Work with us.
No, so what's going on, Mama? What's happening?
Oh my goodness, so much has happened.
What do you mean? What's going
The
on?
blessings of the Lord make it
Oh.
rich, and He added no sorrow
for sure.
to it.
Oh, for
He
sure.
continues to love us regardless to who we are, what we do, why we do, when we do, cause we do.
Uh-huh.
He still loves us. He loved us so much that it says He so loved the world
Mm-hmm.
that He gave His only. See, you know what I'm doing?
What?
I'm causing error. Let me go with that. Let me finish with that. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. You got to remember that you got to believe.
Yeah,
You got to believe, and if you believe, there's going to be a change made.
absolutely.
Okay. Have everlasting life. What I was going to say was, a lot of times when you say, so what's happening? People think you want to talk about the current events.
Mm.
To me, that is most current as it can get.
Okay.
That goes into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Walk with me for a minute. Because see, a lot of things that happen now, we focus on that for so long, we forget that there's a future coming.
Yeah.
Whether it's here on the other side of this life, there's a future coming.
Absolutely.
So set yourself up for the one you're going to choose, life or death.
Yeah.
So when people ask me what's happening, that's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
That's the current event that I want to talk about.
That's nice.
However,
Mhm.
there are current events that's going on now. You want to talk about it?
No, you gonna talk about it.
In example,
Uh-huh.
we're going to talk about how February is ending this week.
Mm.
For but we don't
That's right.
stop. It's Black History Month,
That's right.
but we don't stop being Black History Life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
It's for
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
We
And you
we.
know what? You mentioned Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Our last episode, we did bring up about, well, I brought up about the song Kumbaya,
You did.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I said that I
Was it you or
would.
me? It was brought up. Don't
It
matter.
was right. It was just brought up, but I said I was going to break that down because for such a long time we were all singing "Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya," not right, not realizing it was even taught to us as a child, as children
Mm-hmm.
in the church, not realizing that it was actually saying "Kumbaya, Kumbaya," right?
Mm-hmm.
And what it was basically saying was, come by here, yeah. Where did I learn this from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a while back, a friend of mine, he had mentioned to me, please watch this documentary called Reclaiming the Throne.
Mm-hmm.
And side note, footnote, whatever you want to call it, sidebar, I'm going to say, please watch the documentary. That is definitely a highly recommended thing to watch. And
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 he's not
lyric
getting
is
paid
doing
for this.
and lyric right. No added commercials,
This
none of
isn't.
that.
No, this
None of
isn't.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't get paid to say that.
No.
But I said, and lyric said, because she's over here like hamping and pampering and all that stuff. I don't know if it's because it's hot or if she is hungry. I haven't even fed her yet. Well, her feeding time is not until like what, 5 o'clock. But
Wait, is that
she's
Eastern Mountain or
it,
Central
Pacific time.
Pacific time? Oh, Neri, you
No,
got
no.
another day. If it's next, if we go to Africa, Neri, you're gonna have to wait a little long.
Right. So she's over there hyperventilating and going. It's just
Do you
really
need to pause for a
weird.
station
No,
identification to
I
take
no
care of the baby?
no, I do not.
You don't want to take care of
No,
the
because
baby?
I cannot feed her right now.
Oh, sure
It's
you
she's
can.
no, no,
Sure you
no.
can.
I cannot. It's 30 minutes early. She has to stay on her schedule.
Oh,
She
okay.
has to. However the case is, I'm sorry for that little break up. But my main point is to say, please go and watch Reclaiming the Throne. It's so important. It's really good. It's a I want to say it's a either 3 part or 4 part docu series, and it really does give some insight on some things, right? And one of them again is about Kumbaya, and how that song was actually taken as like a campfire type song because the slave masters and slave catchers did not understand what the Africans were actually singing
Mm.
in code to one another and to God above in heaven. And so again, it was uh come
Come, Lord.
come it was
Come, God.
basically English translated as come by, Lord, come by, rescue us, Lord, rescue us. So that's what it really meant.
Did
um
you also know that that's what Hosanna meant?
no, really.
Yeah, they were saying, "Come rescue us." Hosanna meant, "Come rescue us, God." Yeah, yeah. So when
mm,
they were saying that, and Jesus was going in, he already knew exactly what they were saying, and that's what he had come to do. But they were looking at it for a different way. They were trying to go like David said, "You come at me with sword and shields, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts." That's what Jesus was saying to them when he looked
mm.
at them and smiled as he rode into Jerusalem on the donkey. They were saying Hosanna to the highest. They were actually to my understanding, it was interpreted as come save us, Lord.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, many of them were saying Lord when they
Well,
was talking
yeah,
to Jesus. So
yeah.
yeah, Hosanna. Yeah.
And do you know, okay, breaking down Lord, did
Come
you
on.
know that Lord was also used as a term just for the house in general, for the male, the leading male, I'll say it like that, the leading male in the household, he
Mm-hmm.
was called Lord.
Well, because it was meant owner. So he was
Yes,
the
it was
owner
like
of his wife. He was the owner of his children.
owner of the
He was the
household. It was
owner
like a
of his
title.
land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a title.
Yeah.
So I
So when
only
we
say
call
that
him Lord,
because
what are we saying to him?
Lord of our hearts, leader of our
You own
hearts,
us.
ownership of my life, ownership of my
Yes.
heart, ownership
Yes.
of my mind, ownership of my
Me and
spirit,
everything I
ownership
got.
of the sacrifice of your blood, ownership.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
don't make me.
Come
Don't
on,
you
talk about it,
make
talk
me.
about it. You better talk about it. Somebody needs to know. When you
So
call him Lord of
yes,
hosts,
yes,
you're telling him that
yes.
he's the owner.
Mm-hmm.
He is the owner. And we can't deny that anyway. They can never be
Mm-hmm.
taken away from him.
Exactly. No.
In the beginning, God created.
Yes, I said I bring up Lord only because a lot of people like to think that that's his name. No, that's not his name. That's a title.
Mm-hmm.
His name is
That's who he is.
right. His name is Yahshua.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his name is Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and translated in English.
Mm-hmm. But God's name, Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And even in that is interesting as well because again in that documentary of called Reclaiming the Throne,
Mm-hmm.
it talks about his name is Yahweh.
Yeah.
And how the people back in the day, well, I should say the Africans, named themselves after the pattern of God's name. So you would hear Joshua, Yahweh, and Moshe, which is also known in English, it's known as Moses, right? Saraya, you know, or Saraya, or it was always Yah that is like brought
Elijah.
in Elijah, Elisha. You know, it's always a Yah at the end because that's how the African people did. Hezekiah, right? So it's just again I gotta push it. I gotta push that Reclaiming the Throne. It's a very good one. Yeah. But it also backs up and talks about Black History Month. And or I should say Black History Month, but Black history and how we became into a people in America.
Yeah.
Okay. But then something interesting happened last week.
Okay. I'm listening.
One of our beloved civil rights leaders passed on.
Yeah.
Now, and you know,
another one.
Yes, another one. And if I'm correct, I believe he is the last one that marched with Dr. King. I believe. Now, I thought about this for a second. I did take time to think about this. And I was like, wait a minute, what about Al Sharpton? And then I was like, I don't think he marched with Dr. King. And if he did, he did. I apologize. Yeah. But I didn't think that he did. But with Reverend Jesse Jackson, it's a bittersweet moment. Yeah. It is bittersweet. Especially because Mom, I used to, when I was with my ex, used to live right across the street from Rainbow Push off of Drexel. And when I tell you, and I bring up Rainbow Push because I believe Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, helped build Rainbow Push. And so I could only but imagine how that coalition, how they celebrated his life, or how they're going to celebrate his life. And oh man, I could tell you right now, that street is packed. Yeah. That Drexel is packed. Yeah.
I'm sure. Oh. I'm sure. Let me interject real quick. Al Sharpton did.
So he did.
In the latter part of Dr. King's life, it is said he did.
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, wow. So he is not. So Doctor. No, I'm gonna call him Doctor. Reverend Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson. Is not the last surviving marcher with Dr. King. But yeah, it's
and you know what? It's probably a whole lot others, plenty others that march with him, and we don't have their names.
Right. These are just the namely ones.
I'm so grateful that they took a knee to civil rights.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying praised.
No. We know what you know. We know what you mean by but actually taking under the mantle of,
Yeah,
we know,
yeah, yeah,
you can't you I don't know anybody that will serve civil
yeah,
rights as a god. Like
yeah.
that doesn't make. I'm not
You'd
saying
be
what you're saying is
surprised.
doesn't make
I
sense,
was
but
gonna
I'm
say
just
you'd
saying
be
like it doesn't
surprised
make
how many
sense.
people actually looked at the individual as the God versus the God that gave the leader the strength to become who he is. It's almost as if they're doing
I'm
like they do
sorry,
the
I did not
president.
get that at all. You
It's
gotta help
almost
me.
as if they do like a president or a king. They worship that more than they would the actual God himself who created that individual. So even though they may not bow to the name of civil rights, there are times when they may have bowed to that specific leader. And
But
you
then
have
that's
to.
the leader. That's not civil rights in
That's what I said.
general, right?
Yeah,
But that's what I'm basically saying the same thing. It's like
yeah,
for civil rights.
yeah.
Okay, yes. When you said bow down, not bow down. When
Took a
you
knee.
said took a knee,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than sure people understood. It is not
Yeah,
bow down and worship because you
yeah.
can't bow down and worship civil
Yeah,
rights.
it was more like took the use your shoulder to
Right, ma.
to
We got
yeah.
it.
Okay, okay.
We
I just want
got
to make
it.
sure I ain't making nobody. And I say it again. I ain't making nobody think that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Round two. So again,
Did I win that one
no
though? I
one
didn't win that
can bow
round.
down to civil rights,
Hello.
but
I
people
didn't.
can bow down, as you
I
said, to the
can't.
leaders
Did I
thereof.
win the first round?
I'm
No.
sorry, no,
Oh, okay.
no, there, no,
I gotta come out
no.
swinging this time.
So
Go ahead.
round three,
Rinse.
ma.
Did I wait? Hold on. There. Give me.
Okay, so so what did you want to bring out about Black History Month, because you started out that way?
I just don't want people to let it in. Don't let it in. I feel like it's more of a, to me, from February 1st to February 28th, it's more of a parade and not a lifestyle. And I'm saying make it a lifestyle. I'm saying with the humility that the leaders had in addressing the rights to be who you are. I'm saying continue that effort. Stand together. That's what they wanted us to do, and they
Mm,
wanted us to represent who we are, who we were created to be.
mm-hmm,
And from my understanding, in Genesis, it already talks about who we were created to be. It started out saying, "It God said in our image." So we should have that image of Christ. And let me say, it doesn't, I'm not trying to go into the fact of what everybody was saying, all lives matter. Yes, to God they do,
mm-hmm,
but to man it just doesn't seem that way. And
mm-hmm.
that's kind of sad.
Can I say something on that real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really bothered me when they did that, because Black Lives Matter was not indicating that
Only us.
only black people matter.
Mm-hmm.
We were saying we are to be included, and that our lives make sense in this world.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. We're not going anywhere, and that's just that.
Mm-hmm.
We were here from the beginning, and we're gonna stay here until all the way until the end, whether it's liked or not. This is
Mm-hmm.
just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they start doing that, it's like, okay, first off, what you don't really understand is our body count in this world, according to lynchings and all of that stuff, is so much higher. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, there have been some others who joined in to help fight for the cause of civil
Mm-hmm.
rights
Mm-hmm. And their
and
lives were taken because
and
of it.
and equalities,
Mm-hmm.
and their lives were taken, but it was for standing up for the cause of excuse me, for the injustices of minorities.
Mm-hmm.
And the minorities at that time, the if I could say it like this, it sounds weird, but the majority of the minorities were African American people,
Yeah.
or rather, should I
Descent.
say, African descendants,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or descendants of the slaves,
Mm-hmm.
African slaves.
And had this
So,
never happened, then we would never have to be. Yeah, if you were never separated, because they believed in
mm-hmm,
separation. If we were never separated, none of
mm-hmm,
this would have ever occurred. And I'm even speaking with separated from your own homeland. We didn't go and take you from your land.
Exactly. Right?
We didn't go and take you from your culture. We didn't go and take you from your language.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't take you from your way of worship. As a matter of fact, you adopted the worship of African American, of Africa. I'll say that.
Pretty
You
much.
adopted the worship of Africa and changed
Mm-hmm.
it over so that it will look like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
what it
don't
looks
get
like
me
today or what it has been taught for years.
don't get me going. Don't, please, because like, once again in the documentary, shamefully plugging once yet again, reclaiming the throne, it talks about that as well. How there is a church that's in, I can't recall which one of the Carolinas, but there is a church in one of those Carolinas where there is a bench that has marked on that bench original Hebrew writing. And according to the historical church and the historical structure, this was where African slaves, or the free slave, or the free slaves, the free Africans had come and to worship.
Mm.
They instilled the way of worship from Africa over into America.
Yeah.
So it's like, from what I understand, when the I would love to say colonizers, which is not, I should say love to, but I want to say colonizers, but I'll be nice and say pilgrims, right? The pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened from Europe, they, if I am correct, that was one of the reasons as to why they fled Britain, because they wanted to come from the leadership and the religious structure of Europe. And at that time, it was Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
It was rampant over there.
Yeah.
And so they were like, I don't want that. They didn't want that. And to back up what you're saying, in history, we see that's why we have in our Bill of Rights, our amendments, we have freedom of religion because of that.
Exactly.
This is America.
Yeah.
Because the forefathers, a lot of us like to say that that America was founded on Christian principles. Don't get me wrong. Indeed, they were, but unto a certain standard. It was European standards. It was not African standards. So when they began, because even did you even know that they actually had a rewritten Bible for the Africans to read, the African Americans or the slaves to read, versus the one that they had gotten, the version from King James, the one that they had gotten?
I'm still stuck on the part of you saying they allowed the slaves to read.
Yeah, it got to that point. Only a certain few, in order for them to preach the gospel. So they and because they started to understand that we are also a people of religion, that we have our own set ways, but as it derived, not derived, but as it was began to be seen, they began to influence us with what they wanted us to see and practice and know. Which brings me back to, there were two different Bibles that have been created at that time. One was actually, again, one was for the slaves and one was for the Europeans. And this is where we get, honestly, this is where we get the white church, black church terms from. But you keep going, and you'll discover that in this, in the slave version of the Bible, they removed stories like from out of Exodus. They didn't want the slaves to know that there is a chance that they serve a God that does not deal with slavery. Mm-hmm. And they they took all of those things out and only kept things that were like slaves obey your masters and stuff like that, which it's a lot. This is a lot. It's a lot to take under and understand about Black culture, Black people.
But you know what? It's
Black
sad.
lives mattering. It's a lot.
Speaking on that, it's sad that it says slaves obey your masters, and they take that and get it to you as if you was born into it. You were born free.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too. Like, those are two different terms. slaves back in the biblical times are
Mm-hmm.
different from what and how they treated slaves in America. That
Mm-hmm.
slave trade, that was
Right.
completely different.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
in the Bible, it was almost as if it was honorable. It's weird for me to say it, but it's true. It was almost like it was honorable for them to be a slave of someone. Why? Because they were paying off their debt. They actually had like a debt to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever financial situation these people were in at that time, in the days of antiquity, the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
they worked them off.
That's where that scripture comes. Oh, no man, nothing but to love them. Because if you
Absolutely,
go in debt with somebody, there you go, right there.
absolutely,
Pay up.
absolutely.
Pay up.
But then you have where you have what do they call it? Exiles that were also worked, which is what ended up happening to the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They were exiled to Egypt, and then they, excuse me, then the Pharaoh at that time had forgotten who Joseph was,
Mm-hmm.
and then he decided to turn his back on all these on the children of Israel and made
Mm-hmm.
them lesser of all the Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
So that began. Now we 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 uh we focus our mind on the movie The Ten Commandments, and we see the whips, we see all of this stuff that's in there in that movie, and we begin to think, is that the way it was? It
Mm-hmm.
could have been. It
Mm-hmm.
could have been, and it may not have been. What we
Mm-hmm.
do glean from the true text of the King James Version,
Mm-hmm.
what we do get is that these people really were under bondage, and they worked hard. They had to work hard, or they probably would have been killed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I do get that understanding, but then as you go further along through the Bible, you will understand that slavery is not that of slavery as it was in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s in America. It wasn't, it's not like that. This type of slavery is different. One, as you mentioned, stolen,
Mm-hmm.
captured,
Mm-hmm.
brought over
Mm-hmm.
into a whole nother land, whole nother country that claims to be a a finding, a finding of. You can't find or discover something that's already here. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. That was weird.
Yeah.
But the slavery was harsher.
Mm-hmm.
So harsh, mom. I remember there was something that I was looking at. I want to say it was either on social media, where they were talking about how if a woman was pregnant and she didn't pick her bale of cotton, or she didn't do what she was supposed to do, her quota, and if she
Mm-hmm.
was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
what they would do to chastise her, they would dig a hole in the ground and make her lay down belly first in the ground. That way the baby is not in hurt. They would lay her flat on the ground, let her belly be in the hole, and then they will whip her on her back, give her lashes on her back because she didn't pick her quota.
There was still injury to the body and also
Absolutely.
injury to the baby.
Absolutely.
You
But
can't hide that.
absolutely, they couldn't, and that's trauma. That was memory trauma
Right.
to the
Right.
baby. But
Right.
they didn't know this stuff. Think about that. Now we now come to understand that with the baby comes the understanding of the mom's mental state,
Yeah. Yeah.
the spiritual state of her,
Mm-hmm.
the nutritious state of her, but they didn't know that. The nervous system, the traumas that is ingrained in her is now in the baby. They didn't know that, but they did these things, and that was extremely traumatic, extremely traumatic. So I'm saying, the differences between that slavery. That's just only one point. That's
Mm-hmm.
only one point. There's millions of stories that are out there that are to talk about how slavery was, and how slave trade happened, and how black people were treated as property,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And then you bring it on up to the civil rights time, the Jim Crow era, the
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the Voting Rights Act, and how black people were being sought after, because even then at the in between the time of the freedom the what is it? I'm sorry, the Emancipation Proclamation with President Abraham Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
and with him giving that, and then you still have the South at that time was still under what is it, under Confederacy,
Yeah.
and they wanted to keep their slavery. They wanted that because it had become a big money market for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big money machine for them. They didn't want to let that go. What do you mean? Right?
Yeah.
And so that was one of the reasons as to why. Did you know that the reason why President Lincoln decided to end slavery was to get back at them at the Confederacy, to pretty much reduce and stop their economical flourishings.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That
Yeah.
was a whole lot of reasons for to try to block financial freedom
Mm-hmm.
from African Americans.
Oh well, yeah. Now, what I was talking about was how President Lincoln, when he was trying to not stop that from the African Americans, he was trying to stop that from the white slave owners. He was trying to reduce that. I forget what was it that caused him to do
Right.
that.
Let me explain. Let me explain. It may not be written on paper, but I promise you, a lot of things that were done, and I'm not necessarily saying that it was Abraham Lincoln. That's why I said it was a lot of that happened, but especially towards the African Americans
How they
to
were in
block them.
how they weren't making money. They were slaves during his time. They weren't making money in the South. How that's what I'm trying to understand. What do you mean?
You still had some that had money, Greg, even in the South. You even had African Americans that were even in the North. I'm not saying that specific time. I'm saying in general.
That's what I'm talking about, that specific time, because
Okay. Okay.
at that time, the Emancipation Proclamation, that's around the time where slavery was huge and
Okay.
Civil War happened.
Right.
So the Civil War happened because of the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay.
If I am correct. If I'm
Okay.
wrong, I'm wrong. But regardless of the fact, it black folks were not making money at that time. They were the money makers for the white people.
Okay.
But if you're trying to come up to the point where they were like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Rosewood, if you are you talking about that?
It wasn't even just that, but I'm going to go ahead and go with what you were saying with regards to how President Abraham Lincoln was attacking the income, the economy of whites in the South. So let's go with that.
I wrapped that up. I'm good on that.
Oh,
I was just driving my point as to how you just keep moving on up the ladder when it comes to civil rights and civil justice,
yeah.
how the differences were. And so I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where to go from here. I really don't know where to go from here, because I thought you were coming from.
I try not to keep it at a certain time, because I don't want us to get stuck, us as a people to get stuck in that time. If you look at the general of everything that happened, it can seriously blow your mind. You need to go from point A to point B to point freedom. That's all I was trying to get to. And we're still not there. We're still traveling through the alphabets trying to get to where we're supposed to be financially free. And I'll be very honest with you. When I talk about we, I'm not just talking about a couple of people that have become thousandaires or millionaires or billionaires. I'm talking about us as a people, even in our mindset of how we're supposed to grow and not stay stagnant. I feel like that was one of the reasons for civil rights, for us to be able to be treated equally all the way across the board. And I still feel like it's not all the way across the board, because I'm going to tell you something. People often say money is just one color. People say that, but if you actually look at it, it's not. There's silver coins, there's copper coins, there's green
Well, no copper
dollars.
coins. He took those away.
But do you see?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see where I say there is still takeaways? There's still things taken away to say this color does not exist. So I'm saying it's not just, I'm not just trying to stay in a certain era, and I know you are, but I want us to look at where we have traveled. And is it a possibility? Is there truly a possibility in the eyes of man? In God, all things are possible. But in the eyes of man, is it truly a possibility where the world will actually see people of color are just as equal and are people too?
I get what you're saying. I know where you're
Yeah,
going, and I want you to continue, but I want to clarify.
come
I
on.
wasn't sticking around in one era. I was trying to follow the map, like you said, A to B to freedom. So to start, you have to start somewhere, and that's where I was coming from the
You
trade,
did
all the
that.
way here, all the way to the Emancipation Proclamation,
Mm-hmm.
now moving on to the road to freedom,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so when you were talking, I know I clarified earlier, but just to make it clear, my point, right? My road. When you mentioned that they were when you
Go ahead.
mentioned about black folks making money and we're not making that President Lincoln stopped the used the Emancipation Proclamation to stop the black folks from making money in the South. That's where I was coming from. There were no black people making money in the South at that time. Now, on the road to freedom, after all of that has happened, yes, ma'am, I get what you're saying. That's why I said I'm not sticking with one particular era. I'm talking about them all. I'm talking about them
But
all.
I have to say, I disagree. There were some blacks making money
Now you got to bring that.
in
You
the
got to.
South. There
I
were
don't mean to be
blacks making
disrespectful.
money. They
I
were seriously.
listen.
They listen. Let me tell you. Let me say this. They were making money. If you're talking about money in the thousands, okay, maybe there's a possibility it wasn't, but there were blacks making money, and a lot of times because they were making money, they were attacked. Their home was burned down, or they were making money. It just may not have been as much as you would think a white person would make, which is one of the reasons why we had to deal with we had to deal with economic opportunity through civil rights. They were trying to make it equal. It was an economical opportunity that they were trying to enhance for blacks, not just in the South, but all over. Although the South had a flashlight on it for people to pay attention. And this is really happening down here. You and even now in the North, they make more on a certain job position than they do in the South.
Well, I'm sorry. I have to go ahead and because I just researched, right? This is what I find. You ready?
Okay, okay.
And I read during President Lincoln's term, 1861 through 1865, many black people began earning money primarily through wages as Union soldiers, laborers, and servants, although they often faced unequal pay and exploitation. While the Emancipation Proclamation authorized black men to join the Union Army with a promised $13 monthly salary, they were often initially paid only $7. Union Army. There was two different armies at that time. The country had not been united as one.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Confederate side, which is the South, and then you had the Union side, which is the North. So when I'm saying that the Southerners were the Southern black folk weren't making money. They were not. They were still too tied because of the South, the Confederates. They did not want to get rid of that cotton picking, belling type thing. They didn't want that.
But you can't, when you say black people were not, you're saying them as a whole. If you
No, I
say there
said
were
Confederate. I kept saying Confederate. I
okay.
kept saying the
I missed that part. I totally missed that part because all I kept hearing you say was black people were not making money. And I was saying there were some that were making money. There were some, it might not have been big money,
Mhm.
but black people were making money. There
Mm-hmm.
were some that were making money. There were some that were not making money because they got whatever the sharecropper would give them, and some of them became sharecroppers, and they would work a whole year and get a penny,
But that
or
was
work a
after
whole week
Emancipation
and
Pro.
get a penny.
That was after the Emancipation Proclamation. After that, that is when the sharecropping thing happened, because now these people are free, and now that they're free by federal law, now where were they going to go? They didn't have nothing to do. They couldn't. I should say nothing to do. They didn't have nowhere really to go. So they
Okay.
turned back to their masters, and then the masters began to do sharecropping on them.
Okay.
And created all of this different type of avenues to keep them still under their thumb. But guess what? You're free. You can go wherever you want. But they didn't have the experiences, if you will, because remind you, property, right? So they didn't have the experience of management.
Mm-hmm.
Back in that day, that's what it was called.
They weren't taught that.
They weren't taught management. They weren't taught economical.
Well, some were not.
Right, economical standings on how to make it out there in the South. That is, they weren't taught that.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. That's why I brought up Tulsa, Oklahoma, the burning of the city at that time, and then you had, or is it the riot in Tulsa of Oklahoma, and then you had Rosewood. Was that burned or was it flooded? I can't remember if it was burned or flooded, but it was destroyed. And these were towns of where black folks were thriving.
Mm-hmm.
We're making bukus of cash. You talk about the black dollar circulating, it was huge. But then it got destroyed because we were creating our own economical stance in a country that was still so overpopulated with hate from our counterparts, if you will. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I got you. But okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you by looking it up, but you please continue what you were saying.
I totally don't remember what I was saying.
I knew you was going to do that. Oh,
I don't remember what I was saying. I do want to say my whole thought process about Black History Month is about us continuing to celebrating who we are. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. It's again, if you get stuck on what happened, I'm not saying not to remember what happened in the past, but if you get stuck on what happened to the past and not look at the where you are now, because to me, consistently looking back at the past and not looking forward make you miss the present. Mm-hmm. You're not focused on what's happening now. Mm-hmm. And what is happening now should be what catapults you into your future, into a brighter future, make a change. Mm-hmm. The past should teach you a lesson. And if you ever go back there, go back to learn a lesson. Now, why do I say that? I say that because I asked the question, I'm going to answer it. You don't have to ask, I asked it already. So
you made it rhetorical.
I say that because if you remember, not totally, but if you remember in the Old Testament, God would oftentimes say, write it down, or he would say, teach it to your children. And the reason why he was telling them to do that, because you need to remember where you came from, but don't stay there. So you go back and look at it as when you take classes in high school, or any school, when you're done with your English class and the bell ring, you go to math. You leave math and you go to social studies. You leave social studies and you go, whatever, Black history, whatever, world history, whatever class you go to, you leave from one class to the other. When it's time to do homework, you review what you learn in each one of those classes in order to pass the homework in and get an A. Mm-hmm. What am I saying? You're there at that moment. You learned what you needed to learn. Now you take that and apply it to your homework. Mm-hmm. And then you take your homework as notes for the future in order to review what you need to do better. Mm-hmm. It's the same way it is with life. When you look back and you see things that have happened, you can not only help yourself, but you can help others. Mm-hmm. Black History Month is not just the only time that you should be studying what happened.
Agreed.
It's not that's not the only time. Mm-hmm. It's not the only time that feel like I'm going to really succeed. It's almost like people wait until the first of the year and I'm going to make a change. Well, there were 364 other days
Right.
that you had in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
So why look at that day so different? I understand you're grateful to God that you made it to the first day of that year.
Mm-hmm.
But you should be praising God and you should be making changes every day, not just one
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
First Lady Obama,
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Obama, made it very clear when she said, becoming.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
stop. She said, becoming.
Mm-hmm.
ING means it's still going, it's still
Mm-hmm.
happening. Don't get stagnant. Don't stay there. Keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I don't remember my mom and my dad ever telling me I'm grown.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started telling people, and I tell you all, you're not grown, you're growing. Because if you stop right there,
Mm-hmm.
once a fruit is grown, it drops from the tree.
You know what I start saying to counter that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't say growing no more. You know what I say? Mom, I'm an adult.
You're an adult.
Mm-hmm.
He's a growing adult.
No.
You're still not
We're always
finished.
still growing for
Yeah,
sure.
you're not. You're still. I'm
But
just
mom,
adding
I'm an adult.
on. You're still a growing
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mom,
adult. You're still a
no,
growing
no.
adult. Every day
Uh-uh.
we learn
Uh-uh.
something. We become what we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want. I really want people to understand. Don't just stop at the 28th of February. Continue to grow.
Agreed.
Continue to learn your lineage. Don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just all of a sudden talk about Mary Bethune in February.
February.
And then when you get to December, you forget who she is
Mm-hmm.
or what she did. Or
Mm-hmm.
George Washington Carver. Don't just start right there.
And can I add this? I'm going to add this in there.
Excuse me.
I have to add this in there. You brought up something because in regards to the Word of God, you brought up something, and I was like, I had totally forgot about that detail. There's so many details and nuggets in the Word of God to tell us about about the color of the people, the nationalities of the people. You know, we would like to say, or I should say, nationalities, the ethnicities. There we go, of the people that were in the Bible. And so you brought up something to me, and I was like, man, I forgot all about that. Then or just before we started recording, I was watching a YouTube video in regards to what you had reminded me of. And you know what that was? Cushite.
Yes.
The Cushite and what the Cushite is. So would you please, for those who don't really know what this is and where these people are found and where they started from, could you please shed a little light on that?
Cushite meant that they had dark skin.
Mm.
So if they said so and so from Cush or the Cushite woman, that's what that meant. They were women of dark skin. I'm reading from the actual Google search, and it said Cushites / Ethiopians. The Bible frequently refers to people from Cush, modern day Sudan / Ethiopia, as having dark skin, with Jeremiah 13:29 using them as the standard for having unchanging dark skin.
You see?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, even discoveries like that, you know, connecting our carnal with our spirituality, you got to, because then it helps you even connect more to God, who we call Yahweh. Your Jehovah Jireh, your Jehovah Nisi, your Jehovah Rapha, and all his Jehovahs, all his El Young and El Shaddai, and it just seriously helps to connect more with him on that level. So discovering
it
not
doesn't
only
even
just
stop there, though.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It doesn't stop there.
Just not, you just got to keep going every day, every month, every hour, every minute, every second actually is a learning opportunity for you to consistently keep on knowing about your Black history. Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about your own personal self of who are you. It's about everything about you, your makeup, your nervous system. Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
So wow, yeah, ma,
And Moses married a Cushite woman.
sure did, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's why Miriam got upset. And let me tell you something about that. Even well, Miriam got upset. God was upset with Miriam for getting upset and caused her to do what? End up having leprosy, and she had to leave the camp for 7 days, and then she came back. That was one of the reasons as to why she got punished. Right? Am I
No,
right or wrong? What
that,
what
that
what is
she
it?
got punished because her and Aaron were upset that God was only talking to Moses and not them.
Oh, I thought.
Her and Aaron were talking about Moses, and God said, "Call them together. Let me have a talk with the three of you."
Oh, see, I thought it was
Yeah.
because she was upset with that. Not only that alone, but I thought that was plus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, no. So it was just only because she and Aaron felt that God could
Mm-hmm.
talk to him, he could talk to us too.
Mm-hmm. So he
Wow.
finally did.
Mm, that part.
Did you also know the Shulamite woman, Song of Solomon?
Mm,
He says in the first chapter, the fifth verse, she said, "I am black but comely."
mm,
Comely means beautiful.
mm, mm,
Dark
mm,
yet lovely.
mm,
That's what the
mm,
New International Version says. I am dark but lovely.
mm, mm.
You see?
And then as in the not documentary, but in the YouTube that I was watching, they
Yeah.
were talking about how Cush also was how they intermingled in with Egypt, or I should say how they developed with Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back in the Bible and it talks about how Joseph, how when his brothers came to get food or whatever, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this was a famine time, how
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't even tell Joseph differently from all the other Egyptians. That
Mm-hmm.
tells you something.
Yeah.
That tells you that even the Egyptians back in that time were of dark complexion. They were dark skinned people.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about with Moses, of how they talked about how Moses, they couldn't identify Moses differently from the Egyptians,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you
Even to
even when
that
you
with Moses, remember he put his hand in his bosom and took it out,
mm-hmm,
and it was white. It drove him crazy.
uh-huh,
He
uh-huh.
got scared. God said, "Just
Yes.
put it back, and it'll turn back."
Yes, yes. But even to this point, we bring it forward to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus married, well, when baby Jesus at that time, Joseph and Mary, when they flew to Egypt, to flee from the wrath of Herod,
Yeah.
they mingled in with the Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
What color? Still, the color has not faded away from Egypt.
Yeah.
So what is this? What is this telling you? That Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus had dark complexion. They were
Mm-hmm.
able to mingle in with them and hide among them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot. And I
Yeah.
remember in last episode I talked about how King Solomon talked about how he is of dark complexion.
Mm.
So it's not hidden. It's just not revealed. It's weird what I'm about to say. It sounds contradicting, but it's not. It's revealed, but I'm sorry. It's not hidden, but it's not revealed. Does that make sense what I just said?
Yeah.
It's right there in your face.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't go read it, it ain't revealed to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not hidden. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I agree. I completely agree with you. We definitely don't need to stop learning. It's always an opportunity to keep expounding your knowledge about your heritage.
And you talked about reading. You know what they say: if you want to hide knowledge, put it in a book.
And oh wow, yeah,
If you want to hide knowledge, put it in a book.
yeah.
If you know something and you don't want people to know it, put it in a book.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I just want to hit again on, excuse me, the purpose of the civil rights. It was to end segregation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was to dismantle, separate, but equal in public facilities, schools, and transportation. We only have to talk about transportation with Rosa Parks, right? Okay. Voting rights.
Mama, okay, wait a minute. I gotta say something. With transportation, please. This is okay. Can I bring that back up? Can you please remind me to bring that back up?
Just keep going.
Okay, so with transportation, do you remember that you and I were on our way. I can't remember. We were coming from downtown. I think I had picked you up from work in downtown Chicago, and um, we were on our way to Blickart on. I don't know. It was on the north side. That's all I could say. It was the north side of the city, and
Further north.
yes. And when we were driving down the street, do you remember that there was this white guy who saw me and you in the car? As he
And
drove
remind you,
by,
we were sitting at the stop sign, so that man had
yes,
plenty of attention to look at us, and I had never even looked at him.
yes.
Had you looked at him?
No, I didn't look at
He was
him.
diagonal. I mean, he was, parallel us, and I'm like, I didn't even think to look over at his car at all.
Didn't even. But we pull. Well, he comes through the intersection first, and then he rolls down his window and spit at the tire, and he said, "N-word lover," and he was referring to you being the lover and me being the N-word.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first off, ew, because that's my mom. He didn't know this.
First off, ew, because I'm not. I am
exactly.
too.
We're not gonna do that. Like, yuck. But the thing is, like, he didn't know his ignorance in total of the whole situation. It was like, you're what? So when you said transportation, it took me back to that, the ending of the transportation. Even in my time, I got.
Your experience.
I had that experience. And that was like so many years ago. So that was traumatic for me.
Even like with public facilities. What happened at a public facility that you remember?
Oh my gosh. I remember we were, I think it was like a family reunion function.
It was.
And we were all in a pool. And
but not everybody.
Right, not everybody, but there were certain family members who have went down to the pool. And we all were just enjoying having a good time. We got in, but in the far side of the pool, there were our counterparts of color who were in there as a family. Then they decided, when we got in the pool, they decided to get out. Now, some people would say, but maybe they just felt like they wanted to go ahead and leave. But not with the disgust of the face that they had when they rushed out. It was as if they looked at us as if we had infected the pool with some kind. Their face of disgust was unbelievable. So yeah, and I'm not being dramatic about it at all.
No,
but
it really happened.
It happened, and it freaked me out because I'm like, I thought, going back to what you were saying, and please continue, but it takes me back to that and how it was supposed to end, but yet it is still there.
Yeah.
And by the way, they do say that Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in America. Unbelievable to hear that, but it's definitely true.
And to think civil rights was supposed to end that. It was the goal for civil rights was, and the goal and achievements included ending segregation. But the other one is voting rights, eliminating poll taxes, literacy tests, and violent intimidation to allow Black citizens to vote. It has come to even worse than that now. Yes,
now we need a valid birth certificate in order to prove. I hope everyone understood that did that pass? I think that passed. I think it passed, but I also believe that
I have to look back on that. I can't recall.
Yes, but I do also believe that there are
stories. Do your
stories.
research, people. Do your research.
Please do. But I also recall it being that that people, not people, but that Congress is trying to back that away, trying to repeal that because they understand that it's affecting more than what they thought. But Mama, please do, if you haven't continued.
Legal equality. Passing landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Legal equality. Legal. And that what, those times when they didn't have a jury or they had a jury that was for unalive. I'll say it in a better way. Yeah. They passed that's what civil rights was supposed to taking care of. That was the purpose of it. I should say that was the purpose of it. And here's the one that we talked about already, and that was economic opportunity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
combating jobs and housing discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
trying to block the money. I believe that was one of the reasons that uh, uh, Dr. King and his family moved to Chicago. When they found out who he was, they wanted to give him the best of the best, and he said, "No, we're gonna stay right here."
Oh wow.
Yeah, they gave him he went to the worst of the worstest neighborhoods and went for an apartment, and they gave it to him. When they found out who he was, they were embarrassed because the one that they gave to him, it had holes in the wall.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Really?
it had
First off, I didn't even know he stayed in Chicago.
had rodents running around.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that to see if they what type of property they were given. That's what they gave him.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. And let me
Mhm.
tell you something about that. Remember, I told you I was in, well, not I was, I am in title, but I was in residential title. And when I went to search one property that was north of the city, that a suburb, that in their bylaws, they had where it stated that only um, descendants of Caucasia or descendants of Europe
Mhm.
can only live in that subdivision. I cannot
Mm.
remember the subdivision name, though I'm not going to try to quote it because I don't want to lie.
Yeah.
But I know for sure I saw that in their bylaws.
Mm.
So I wouldn't be surprised. As you're saying that, I'm not surprised that they would give that to him.
Yeah.
But I am, yeah, it just baffles my mind.
It says here that his family moved into a third floor apartment in Chicago's North Lawndale neighborhood
Mm,
on January 26, 1966. He moved to 1550 South Hamlin Avenue to highlight slum conditions and support the Chicago Freedom Movement fight
wow,
against discriminatory housing in the North.
wow, wow,
So that
wow.
was the purpose. Those bullet points were the purpose of the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm,
But if I
mm-hmm,
remember correctly, Jesus said, "Two commandments I give to you. One, that you love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And the second one is greater as the first. It's not
mm-hmm,
greater than, that's, I have
and
to look up
mm-hmm,
that scripture to get it right because I don't want to lie. But I
mm-hmm,
do know it says, I leave you a second one. That is that you love one another as I have loved you. And
mm-hmm.
I don't think the love that's being shown is the love that Jesus said, as I have loved you.
No, no. It has even got to the point where it has gotten to the point where it's more talked about now about religion
Mm.
and the love in religion, where a lot of folks now, hear me out, a lot of people are starting to do this love the sinner, hate the sin type thing.
Mm.
And it's like, first off, do you remember the word of God tells us all have sinned and come short of the glory of God? None of us can measure up to Jesus Christ. He is the God's glory. That's who he is. None of us can measure up to him. So we have all are sinners. That's what the word of God says. If you feel like you can be, you hear this a lot from others. Some pastors, they say, "I'm not trying to be holy roly," and no, you will not try to be. You can never be.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
will never be a holy roly because you are sinful.
Mhm.
This is who you are.
Yeah.
Period. The end. But this is why God's grace abounds.
And
This is
if you
why his
can roll
blood,
holy,
this is why his
and holy
sacrifice.
means to be separated. So if you can roll holy, start rolling.
If listen,
Separate yourself.
listen, and and if they're talking about the separation, okay, yes, I agree with you. But if they're sitting up here and they're talking about the purification part, no,
Yeah.
you can never be as
Exactly.
pure.
Yeah.
You could never be as pure as Jesus Christ himself, period. That he's the glory.
Yeah.
We all come
Yeah.
short of that,
Yeah,
period.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in on this episode.
Yeah.
But, Mama, we are nearing the ending of it.
Girl, why don't you take us
So-
out this time? Give
Now,
me your
why you
ending
do
thoughts.
that? Okay. Since she done turned it over to me,
Mm-hmm.
my
What's your
ending,
thought?
my ending thoughts are this: don't stop learning your history. It is very important that you continue. There's a plethora of books, there's a plethora of resources that are out there that you can go and research. Take the time to know you.
Mhm.
It is very valuable to know you and stand strong, 10 toes down, all feet down, 10 toes, all of it. Stand strong is what I'm saying. Stand strong in knowing who you are. And no matter how many others come around to degrade you or to put you down or to make you feel lesser than who you are, especially in Christ, as a believer in Christ, stand strong and know that God got you and that you definitely are powerful. Powerful within, powerful in your spirit, powerful in your mind. You got this. We got this. And happy Black History Month. Don't forget to please go and check us out on all of our podcasts or wherever you can hear our episodes, which is found on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Yes, we're there, y'all. We're getting there. We're on our road to 1K. We need your help. Only you can help us. So just please go on there, share, like, subscribe, follow, and please do leave us a comment. Until then, bye.